Most people misunderstand success. They believe success is created by adding more effort, more habits, more motivation, more ambition. They fill their lives with tasks, information, and noise, hoping that accumulation will eventually lead to clarity. But instead of becoming stronger, they become overwhelmed. Instead of becoming focused, they become scattered. In Shaolin philosophy, progress begins in the opposite direction. Before you add anything, you must remove what weakens you. A cluttered life creates a restless mind. A restless mind cannot sustain discipline, and without discipline, success collapses under pressure. This is why many people start strong but fail to continue. They are carrying too much that does not serve their path. Look closely at your life. Not everything you are holding is necessary. Some habits drain your energy. Some beliefs limit your courage. Some routines consume time without producing growth. These things do not look dangerous, but over time, they quietly erode your strength. True mastery is not about doing more. It is about doing less with precision. In Shaolin training, unnecessary movements are removed, not because they are dramatic, but because they are inefficient. Every wasted motion is energy lost. Life follows the same rule. If your days feel heavy, unfocused, or directionless, it is not because you lack potential. It is because your life is overcrowded with distractions, attachments, and obligations that no longer align with who you are becoming. Success demands simplicity. Simplicity demands courage. The courage to let go, the courage to delete, the courage to walk forward with less, but with purpose. Before asking what you need to add to your life, ask this instead. What am I still carrying that weakens my discipline? The need for approval is one of the most invisible prisons a person can live in. It disguises itself as kindness, politeness, and humility. But beneath the surface, approval seeking is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of standing alone. When your choices are shaped by how others might react, your life slowly stops being yours. You begin to edit your truth. You hesitate before acting. You betray your instincts to maintain acceptance. In Shaolin teaching, reliance on external validation is seen as a weakness of the mind. Not because connection is wrong, but because dependence removes self-command. When you need others to confirm your worth, your confidence becomes fragile and conditional. A disciplined person does not live to be liked. They live to be aligned. Approval seeking drains energy because it forces you to constantly monitor reactions. You measure your words. You explain your actions. You justify your decisions. This constant self-surveillance creates anxiety and hesitation. When you delete the need for approval, something profound happens. You move faster. You think clearer. You stand firmer in your values. This does not make you arrogant. It makes you free. Discipline requires the willingness to be misunderstood. Growth requires the strength to disappoint. If everyone approves of your path, you are likely walking a path that requires no courage. Respect yourself enough to say no. Respect yourself enough to choose your values over applause. Respect yourself enough to stand alone if necessary. Approval is temporary. Self-respect is permanent. Delete the need for approval, and you reclaim your power. Emotional reactivity is one of the greatest obstacles to mastery. Most people believe emotions control them automatically, that anger, fear, and frustration simply happen. But in disciplined traditions, emotions are not enemies. They are signals. And signals are meant to be observed, not obeyed. Every time you react without awareness, you surrender control. A sharp word spoken in anger, a rushed decision made in fear, a distracted mind hijacked by frustration. These reactions feel small in the moment, but over time they shape your character. Reactivity trains your nervous system to respond impulsively instead of intelligently, and an impulsive mind cannot build lasting success. In Shaolin training, students are not taught to suppress emotions, they are taught to delay response. Between stimulus and reaction, there is a moment of choice. That moment is where power lives. When you delete emotional reactivity, you reclaim that moment. Calm does not mean passive. Calm means you choose when and how to act. Most conflicts in life are not caused by circumstances, they are caused by untrained reactions. A disciplined mind does not rush to defend itself, it observes first. It breathes, it assesses. This pause changes everything. You stop feeding unnecessary drama. You stop wasting energy on minor triggers. You stop allowing other people's emotions to control your behavior. Emotional mastery is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming stable. When your inner state is steady, your decisions become precise, and precision is the foundation of success. Delete the habit of instant reaction. Replace it with awareness, breath, and restraint. A mind that does not react blindly cannot be defeated easily.
Comfort is subtle. It does not attack you. It invites you. It whispers that tomorrow is fine, that rest is deserved, that discipline can wait. And slowly, without force, it weakens your edge. Comfort addiction is dangerous because it feels reasonable. No alarms go off, no obvious damage appears. But over time, comfort erodes resilience, dulls ambition, and softens discipline. In Shaolin philosophy, comfort is not treated as an enemy, but it is never treated as a guide. Growth does not live where everything feels easy. Strength is forged where resistance exists. A life built around comfort produces a weak relationship with effort. When discomfort appears, fatigue, failure, pressure, the untrained mind retreats. It looks for escape instead of adaptation. Delete the belief that success should feel comfortable. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a signal that something is changing. Training days are uncomfortable. Transformation is uncomfortable. Becoming someone stronger than your past self is uncomfortable. But discomfort is temporary. Weakness is permanent if comfort is never challenged. A disciplined person learns to enter discomfort voluntarily, not recklessly, but intentionally. They do hard things on purpose, not to suffer, but to grow capacity. When you delete comfort addiction, you develop tolerance for effort. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You act even when it is inconvenient. This is where confidence is built, not through ease, but through endurance. Comfort keeps you safe. Discomfort makes you capable. Delete comfort addiction, and discipline will rise to replace it. The most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. This conversation never stops. It speaks when you wake up, when you fail, when you hesitate, and when no one else is watching. If this inner dialogue is chaotic, critical, or impatient, it quietly shapes your behavior in destructive ways. Most people underestimate how deeply self-talk programs the mind. Every repeated thought becomes a belief. Every belief becomes a behavior. Every behavior becomes a pattern. Negative self-talk is not harmless. It weakens discipline by eroding self-trust. When your inner voice constantly questions your ability, motivation collapses under pressure. You hesitate more. You quit earlier. You avoid challenges that could grow you. In Shaolin philosophy, the mind is treated like a training hall. Chaos is not tolerated, not through force, but through structure. You do not shout at the mind, you train it. Delete the habit of insulting yourself. Delete the belief that harshness creates strength. Strength grows from clarity, not cruelty. A disciplined inner voice is calm, direct, and firm. It does not panic. It does not exaggerate. It corrects without humiliation. It reminds you of your direction instead of your doubts. When negative self-talk appears, do not fight it emotionally. Observe it. Replace it with intentional language, not motivational slogans, commands. Stay present. Continue. Breathe and focus. Over time, this rewires your mental posture. The mind becomes a place of order instead of conflict. If you want to succeed, your mind must become an ally, not an enemy. Delete negative self-talk, and discipline will finally have a stable foundation.
Your future is built in minutes, not years, and every distraction steals those minutes quietly. Distraction is dangerous because it feels productive. Notifications, endless content, unnecessary conversations, they all create the illusion of activity while dissolving focus. A distracted mind is busy, but it is not progressing. In disciplined traditions, attention is treated as sacred. Where attention goes, energy follows. Where energy flows, life is shaped. If your attention is fragmented, your life becomes fragmented. Most people do not lack time. They lack direction for their time. Delete distractions that offer stimulation without development. Delete habits that consume attention without building skill, clarity, or strength. Focus is not about intensity, it is about protection. When you protect your focus, deep work becomes possible, and deep work is where mastery grows. Shallow attention produces shallow results. In Shaolin training, repetition is done in silence for a reason. Silence removes unnecessary input. It forces attention inward. It sharpens awareness. If you want to succeed, you must be willing to be unavailable. Unavailable to noise, unavailable to urgency that is not aligned with your purpose. This is not isolation, this is discipline. When distractions are removed, something surprising happens. Time expands, clarity returns, progress accelerates. Delete distractions, and your life will finally move forward with intention.
Not everyone who walks beside you is meant to walk with you forever. Some relationships exist only for a season. Others are lessons, not companions. And some, if held on to too long, quietly drain your strength. Toxic relationships rarely appear as obvious threats. They often arrive wrapped in familiarity, history, or obligation. They normalize excuses. They weaken discipline. They pull you back toward old versions of yourself that no longer fit who you are becoming. In Shaolin teaching, alignment matters more than attachment. A person's environment either sharpens the mind or dulls it. There is no neutral influence. If the people around you complain more than they act, distract more than they support, or mock discipline instead of respecting it, your progress will slow, not because you are weak, but because resistance is constant. Deleting toxic relationships is not cruelty, it is clarity. Growth requires space, and space cannot exist when your energy is constantly negotiated, drained, or defended. You cannot rise while being anchored to patterns that keep you small. This does not always mean confrontation. Often it means distance, silence, reduced access. When you remove relationships that weaken your focus, you make room for alignment, with yourself first, and eventually with others who share your direction. Protect your inner order. Your future depends on it.
Many people stay trapped, not because they lack strength, but because they fear solitude. They fear silence. They fear their own thoughts. They fear standing without external validation. So they remain surrounded, yet disconnected. In disciplined traditions, solitude is not seen as punishment, it is training. It is where the mind stops performing and starts listening. When you are alone, distractions fall away, masks dissolve, excuses become visible. This can feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is often the doorway to truth. Delete the belief that being alone means being empty. Solitude builds clarity. Silence strengthens discipline. Stillness reveals direction. In Shaolin training, periods of isolation are used to deepen awareness and control, not to escape life, but to understand it. If you cannot sit with yourself, you cannot lead yourself. Deleting the fear of being alone allows you to move independently without needing constant approval, noise, or reassurance. You become internally anchored. From this place, confidence is no longer loud, it is stable. Learn to stand alone, and you will never feel lonely again.
The more you explain yourself, the more power you give away. Many people feel compelled to justify their choices, defend their boundaries, and narrate their decisions, not because explanation is necessary, but because approval is still being sought. In disciplined traditions, explanation is used sparingly. Words are tools, not shields. When you explain excessively, you expose your direction to unnecessary judgment, doubt, and interference. Those who understand you do not require explanations. Those who misunderstand you will ignore them. Constantly explaining yourself trains hesitation. It teaches the mind to seek permission instead of authority. Over time, this weakens decisiveness and confidence. Delete the habit of over-explaining. Silence does not mean insecurity. Silence means certainty. When your actions are aligned with your values, explanations become irrelevant. Your path does not need approval to be valid. In Shaolin philosophy, mastery is demonstrated through consistency, not justification. You move, you train, you improve, and the results speak quietly but clearly. Protect your energy. Let silence replace defense. Let discipline replace explanation. Your life is not a debate, it is a practice. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose clarity. When you compare your journey to others, you abandon your own rhythm. You begin to rush, doubt, or hesitate, not because something is wrong, but because attention has shifted outward. Every person walks a different path, shaped by different starting points, challenges, and responsibilities. Comparing outcomes without context is mental sabotage. In Shaolin training, students are not measured against each other, they're measured against yesterday's self. Progress is internal, not competitive. Delete comparison. It steals presence, it weakens patience, it creates unnecessary suffering. A disciplined mind focuses on process, not position, on consistency, not speed. When you compare, you fragment your focus. When you concentrate on your own practice, momentum builds naturally. Success is not a race, it is alignment between effort and direction. When comparison disappears, gratitude returns, confidence stabilizes, progress becomes sustainable. Focus inward, advance steadily. Your path is enough if you commit to it fully.
Success requires a willingness to let an old version of yourself die. Many people say they want change, but they secretly protect the identity that keeps them comfortable. They hold on to old labels, past mistakes, and outdated self-images because familiarity feels safer than transformation.
but you cannot carry yesterday's identity into tomorrow's success. In disciplined traditions, identity is fluid. You are not who you were, you are who you train to become. Holding on to an old identity creates resistance. It pulls you back toward habits, environments, and behaviors that no longer serve your future. Delete the stories that limit you. Delete the excuses you have outgrown. Delete the belief that you must remain consistent with your past. Growth requires reinvention, and reinvention requires courage. This does not mean denying your history. It means refusing to be defined by it. The past can teach you, but it must not command you. When you release your old identity, discipline becomes easier. Your actions align with your future instead of your past. You stop negotiating with habits that no longer belong in your life. Let go, not with anger, but with clarity. What you become next is a choice. Make it deliberately. At the highest level, success is simple. Not easy, but simple. It is not built by carrying everything, pleasing everyone, or chasing endless additions. It is built through subtraction, the removal of what weakens focus, drains energy, and distorts clarity. When you delete what does not matter, what remains becomes powerful. Less noise, less distraction, less attachment. This is not emptiness, this is precision. In Shaolin philosophy, mastery is revealed in efficiency. Every movement serves a purpose. Every breath has intention. Nothing is wasted. Your life follows the same principle. When you remove excess, your mind sharpens. When your mind sharpens, discipline stabilizes. When discipline stabilizes, success becomes inevitable. Delete wisely. Delete what weakens you. Delete what distracts you. Delete what belongs to a version of yourself you have already surpassed. What remains will be strength, clarity, and direction. Less is not lack. Less is power.